it's
Do you remember
funny
Jelly
stuff.
Toe? I don't
Dude,
know.
stop.
Do you remember Jelly Toe?
Stop, dude. I can see it. The viscosity. It's so gross. It's so gross. It's so gross. I can't even do so. And you know what's fucked up is like even to this day, sometimes I make like a peanut butter and jelly, and if it's strawberry jelly, I'm just like,
you can't do it.
I don't think I've eaten strawberry jelly unless I had to, because since.
But a lot of people, that's their story. Good times, Noodle Salad.
Yeah, so you were giving me shit because okay, so just to like lay it out, I work days, you work nights.
Yeah.
I'm laid off right now, so I'm like on vacation kind of.
Right.
And dropping my kids off to school, I was like, I'm not driving back home. I'm not driving back home to go home to like kill an hour before I drive out to your house. So I just came I just came over.
Yeah, I got a call at 10 o'clock and I'd gone to bed at like 5 a.m., maybe later. I don't know. And I was like still sleeping. I was like, oh. And he's like, hey, did you want to record today? And I go, yeah, when? And he's like, I don't know, like now? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't
You literally were like, I don't know. And then there was like a 15-second silence. I go, did you just fall asleep? And you're like, I might have. But yeah, dude, I wasn't gonna, let me fix this.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I feel good now. I made you go get me breakfast.
Just because my kids' school is like a half hour away from my house. So I was like, there's no way I'm driving a half hour back home just to kill like an hour.
Right.
You know, so I was like, all right, let me just head out there. And I stopped at like a car wash to clean my truck out, and I killed some time, but and I was like, all right, and then I wasted like a half hour sitting in your driveway. So I was like, all right, let me just call them.
Oh, by the way, the we talked before about maybe my schedule changing. It's definitely not.
Well, it's probably a good thing because your new schedule would have sucked.
It would have ruined this whole thing. We would have been able to record like maybe once every 2 weeks. It would have been that would have blew, and then that would suck for me and Paige because that's where it'd be like your one
the
day
weekends that we don't have the kids would be, you know, the weekends where we actually can spend time together.
Ideally, going on days would probably be the best, but it's going to be I don't know. I don't even know if I like days. I don't know. I worked days when I started at this place, and I was so tired all the time because I don't like getting up that early. I'm a night guy. So like even when I was working days, I'd be up till like 2, 3 a.m. like just doing my own thing.
Yeah, that's not good for you.
No. So night shift in afternoons is ideal for me.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I've always been that way though. Yeah. It's hard getting up at like 5 a.m. It's a nightmare. And then God forbid,
in the choir. I've been getting up at 5 a.m.
And then God forbid, like you like have a stomach ache or something and can't fall asleep. And then you got to go to work the next day and then you're tired. Like I don't know. Day shift sucks. Day shift's not bad if like you started later, like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Because like even if you're up all night, you can get like maybe a couple hours of sleep before you got to go in. I know this whole like in the trades, like getting up at 4 to be to work by 5 or getting up at 5 to be to work by 6 is like crazy. It's so early.
Dude, I was getting my kids up at 4 a.m. So I was getting up at like 3:30 to get the kids up at 4 so that we were on the road by like 4:30.
Right.
And then I would drop them off to a babysitter who would take them to school. And then I would have to get to the job site an hour away.
Right.
By 5:30. It was brutal. I was working 5 10s and an 8.
I don't know. How did you find a babysitter to take them that early? That's
just
crazy.
One of the kids' friends' mom.
Oh.
I joined like the elementary school's Facebook, like someone made a parent Facebook page for the elementary school. So I joined that and I like looked for people that I knew on there and was like, hey, you know. And then she reached out to me and was like, hey, we know Elia, you know.
Yeah.
And we know your son Elias, and I'd be willing to do it. And then I mean, she's been great.
Yeah.
But it's that's one of the hardest things about being a parent, dude, is like to make accommodations is impossible. Like, fucking daycares, like brick and mortar daycares, are insanely expensive, and their hours don't accommodate my line of work anyway.
Right.
Like they're open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's like, dude, sometimes I'm working 6 to 6. Like that doesn't even touch the hours that I would need you guys.
Right.
And then now take that and hone it into what daycares would actually drive kids to school. And there's like fucking 3 in the state.
Yeah.
And they won't go with outside of a certain range. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the hardest thing about having kids is making accommodations when you can't be taking care of them.
Honestly, I don't know how people do it. It's like, it's got to be tough to find that specific, super ultra specific shit. I don't know. It's crazy. We live in weird times. There's all these services, but all these services are so specific and they don't provide really shit. It's like, it seems like when it comes to kids and stuff, I don't know. It just seems like cool. We got people who are just babysit, but like to be able to drop them off at like 4 a.m. to be dropped off at school by 7 or 8 or whatever it is. It's like, that's crazy to me. But it's also crazy to me that like we live in a society where we don't give a shit. Figure it out. That's like, I don't know. I think like, I don't want to speak on this as if I know, but I'm almost pretty certain that we are the only country on planet Earth that operates that way, where it's like, yep, well, there's no working around. We don't care. You have kids. We don't care.
It's not really like that. And there's been times where I'm like, hey man, I'm going to be 2 hours late. My babysitter's not available. So I have to wait.
Well, they don't have a choice at that point. I'm just saying that it's like, there's no natural accommodation where it's like, hey man, we know you got, like we start at 8, 9 o'clock. So that way you can get the kids to school and then come to work. But
yeah. But I tell you what, though, most of the guys that I work with are happier going to work at 6 a.m. than going at 7. Because if you're working 40 hours, I'd rather start at 6 and be done at 2.
Yeah.
2 p.m. you're done with your work for the day. You got the whole day left still.
No, that I do agree with. Like if I was doing because I think we can start 1 hour. Well, I mean day shift, like it can come at 5 or what at 4. Some people come in. They kind of work with your schedule where I work, which is nice. I'm just saying generally it's not the case. Where I work is they're very you pretty much be like, hey, I have to start coming in at this time. And they're like, yeah, no problem. Just like make sure you get these, X amount of hours in so we can, get schedule this stuff out, whatever. Yeah.
But my industry, you can show up late, but you can't make it a permanent thing. You can't be like, hey, every day I have to be in at 9.
Right.
They would be like, I got to lay you off.
Right.
Because like every crew has to be a 2-man crew minimum. Right. So now I have one guy waiting for you for hours.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's true.
But
that's understandable.
Yeah. How do you feel about recording? Like, so we're recording on a weekday, and we've been doing this like in the morning of the weekend, or like the late morning of the weekends since we started this.
Yeah.
You look like you just sobered up.
I mean, I haven't been drinking.
No, I know, but I'm saying like you look like someone who's just like, oh, last night sucked.
That's what happens when you get woken up after 4 hours of sleep. Oh,
dude, I killed time too. I was like, I don't want to go straight there.
I know.
I killed like 2 hours.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Less than 2 hours.
How do I feel about recording what? You were getting somewhere and then you changed.
How do you feel about recording during the week? Because like
I mean, but you're not going to be laid off forever. It's not going to be a permanent.
No, I know. I'm just asking.
Yeah. I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to prepare for it. I'm not really prepared. I knew you were going to come by. I didn't know what time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to change some things up because doing anything outside, like last week was pretty good. So I moved the week before and also worked like almost 70 hours. Insane. I was so tired. So last week I was kind of like leaving an hour early and stuff like that. And I think I got like maybe 60 hours in last week, which is still a ton that's with taking a day off. And Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to work that much all the time. So I gotta switch some things up and figure it out. I don't know yet. Even if it means move, or
We've talked about this. You've been kind of working overtime for fucking 10 years or more.
Yeah, which is fine. I like the money and I like the overtime.
The money's good, but we're getting older. And,
I'm definitely
inching towards 40. It's like, dude, do you want to be working 60 hours a week? You got to have a life too.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to come down. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about taking maybe a higher paying position somewhere. So that way I don't have to work. Well, I mean, I don't have to work all these hours I am now, but I have a lot of expensive hobbies. So it's nice. So I do it. So I might take a higher end paying job.
Yeah.
I've been offered some jobs that were really good paying, but I just didn't want to. It seemed like a lot of work. I was almost like not. I don't know. You got to find the balance,
Well, I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
One was like a, I don't know, I think it was like a plant manager job in Detroit. And that was like $150 a year, like to start. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Except for being a plant manager, you're like on call 24/7. You got to deal with upper management. You got to deal with lower management. It's just, and then all the employees complaining about everyone else. It's like, is that even worth that money? No, it's not that much. It's good. It's a lot of money, but I don't know. Money isn't everything.
No, well, that's what we're talking about is finding this like work-life balance. Cause I feel like that's been lacking for both of us.
Yeah, I've been in all facets of my kind of to some extent. Never been a plant manager, but I was last job. I was kind of like in the process of being a plant manager, but that was a nightmare. That was like that was kind of like a business that was inherited and then kind of reinvented and then like not taken care of for a handful of years. So it was like coming into a guy who's so used to not spending a dime on a department. And you're like, dude, this is falling up. Every machine doesn't work right. Like, we got to get this stuff fixed. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to be in that again. Cause then basically they're mad at you for spending their money. And it's like, well,
yeah, but you're talking about the logistics of the actual position. I'm talking about
right. You're talking
about the position. I'm talking about trying to find a balance in our regular lives. Cause I don't want to be, I mean, like I've been chasing overtime since I got in the trade and even before then I was working 2 jobs sometimes or doing something to make money on the side.
Right.
All the time. So like I've never like had a 40-hour job and like
I'll be honest with you
while working 40 hours.
I'd rather work like 7 days a week, only like 7 or 8 hours a day. I could work every day. That'd be fine. I just don't want it's like when you work 12 hours a day, it's like, there's no time. You got to figure.
But why even have to? Why even work 7 days a week?
I'm just saying if you wanted the money, if you wanted the overtime, whatever.
So you're saying 7 8s would be 48, 56 hours, but 7 8-hour shifts.
Yeah, would be.
So you'd rather do that than work?
Yeah, I would rather have to go in. I'd rather have to go in almost every day than the days that I do work. I do nothing but go to work and then come home. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I've done both. I've done 7 8s before, not only because we were slow, but then also like we were slow so it was just taken by day. When we were slow back and then we started getting work, they still had me scheduled for 8 hours, but then they'd be like, hey, can you come in today? And then I was like working 7 8s. And honestly, it was awesome, dude. 8 hours flies by when you're used to working 12, 13 hours.
Oh yeah.
It's like nothing. It's like, oh, cool. I'll get 6 hours of sleep. 8. I still have 10 hours, 6 hours of sleep, 8 hours at work. I have 10 hours. That's so many hours in even a work day.
Yeah.
For free time. And I'm like, I loved it, dude. I was going on nature walks and I was going to the gym all the time. And I filled in a lot.
That's how life should be. It shouldn't be just work and like preparing for work.
Work and preparing for death is really what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're working until you die.
Yeah. I mean, that's a theme with us. That's shit that we talk about is like, being like, when you're a kid, you're a dreamer, right? You're like figuring out what you're interested in, figuring out what you're what you want to spend your time learning and getting into and, you know, absorbing all the resources about that thing. For me, it was, you know, music and skateboarding and, you know, so I'm super into music. So I'm listening to everyone's music. I'm reading about the artists. I'm reading about the equipment, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And when you become obsessed or you find a passion, it's like, I feel like most people then start to grieve that passion when they get into their adult life. And then it's like, all right, now you have to spend your time doing something that you're okay with doing or something that you don't want to do because it's paying the bills.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and that's where we were both kind of at like a year ago, is like, we're both doing something we're okay with to pay the bills, but then we're not having a life that includes any of these artistic pursuits that we had been obsessed with our whole lives.
You know what bothers? Is it just me, or is this kind of like, I don't know. I think it's my perspective. I think I'm still waking up. So like,
what the fuck? Is it what?
I don't know.
Crooked or something?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. But
it gives a fuck.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jesus.
So, yeah, I mean,
dude, is this
a wall?
Wait, hold on. Is it?
Is it, dude?
Jesus Christ.
You just like talked for 5 minutes. I'm like, is it though?
Like, fuck what
that should just be
talking about.
Dude, that should just be this podcast. You talk for 5 minutes and I just say random. Oh yeah. And I'm looking not even at you.
Dude, tell me if I'm wrong, but
Or as you're talking, I rearrange the entire set and you don't even know somehow. I'm just like moving pictures and I'm like, dude, oh yeah, dude.
Don't lie to me, but like, did this bitch blink or no?
Is he blinking or does he have weird eyes?
Is it a chick? It's kind of pretty.
Well, it's just because there's designs on
it.
It could be.
Sometimes I had that like hanging up in my living room.
It's kind of pretty.
I was kidding.
What?
I had that hanging up in my living room for a long time, like beside my TV.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would just be like twilight out, like just barely enough light.
I can't stop looking at it now.
There was like just
DSLs, baby.
By the way, okay, so like people that are just listening, we're talking about this stupid wood Indonesian carving.
Yeah,
it's not stupid. I think it's actually pretty dope.
It's pretty sweet.
But it's just like a face with closed eyes and flowers around.
Yeah.
So in my living room there would be like twilight, like just enough room or just enough light to be able to walk around the room and not like trip.
Yeah.
And that face is so scary when it's twilight out because it just looks like someone's standing 9 feet tall in your living room. Like,
right. Yeah, it's creepy. It's creepy because I get very little sleep. So like I get sleep paralysis sometimes where like your imagination kind of runs wild while you're like in the process of trying to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And it's scary without things like that hanging on the walls. So like I used to have a bunch. By the way, I know you wanted those other masks. I think I got rid of them.
Of course you did.
So I apologize, but they're gone.
You jerk.
I couldn't find them. So because I was thinking about that when I moved, and I was like, oh, I should give those things. And I couldn't find them. And I was like, I probably threw them out, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I do. Fucker. I throw everything out.
Yeah, you do.
But I would fall asleep in my living room, the last place I was living. And I'd fall asleep in the living room and wake up and be like, and just like, it'd be nightmare fodder to look up to. Like above the doorway is just like these three faces, and they're all kind of like creepy. They're like creepy looking, and some of them are kind of like purposefully creepy looking, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know, man.
Have you seen these AI horror reels on Instagram?
Yeah, they're so cool. They're weird,
dude.
It's like nightmare.
The other night I couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
I normally go to bed at 8:30 because I get up so early. So I go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I was up till like 3 a.m. that night. I just couldn't sleep. Like no matter what. I think I had a monster on the way to go get the kids at like 3 p.m. So I was like, I set myself up for failure there. But scrolling through Instagram, just like watching like random skateboarders, and then there's like, you know, OnlyFans fucking thirst trap videos that I'm like skipping past because I'm trying to reset my algorithm.
Yeah.
And then I land on this just like creepy chick's face. And she's all like muddy and like has cuts and stuff on her eyes and lips. And she just like pulls the feet of a baby out of her mouth. And then the whole baby comes out and she's like, and I was just like so scared by it. I'm like, I'm a 30-year-old man. And I'm like, shook by this fucking AI video.
There's some weird, or like the weird, there's that, but then there's also like the weird ones where it's purposefully creepy, but then there's like some weird stuff going on and you're like, it makes it 10 times creepier. Like I saw this one, I think this dude was in a hospital bed and there was just like these dudes faces at the end of the bed and then they were just like opening their mouths overly large. And then like the guy's legs were just bending back or something. And I was like, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but also I'm terrified.
So scary. Yeah.
And I think it's because it's like, I don't even know why. I don't even know. Yeah. Because it reminds me so much of things like sleep paralysis. Like there's this thing like sleep paralysis demons. And what it is it's like your mind creates these like weird ideas of something you should be scared of. Mm-hmm. Like it just creates like these, like I'll tell you one. I have a specific one. There is when I'm like in the process of falling asleep and I can't and my body's like in this weird limbo. and also like somehow it's a nightmarish version of it because sometimes it's just like, oh, I can't sleep, oh, whatever. And it's not bad, but sometimes it's bad. And you're like, oh, I'm having a nightmare. My eyes are open.
Yeah.
And one of the things is like, I'll not see, but like the thing is you're not actually visually seeing these things, but like your brain creates this image in your head. Mm-hmm. It's really weird. And one of the things I'll see is like this giant, like woman-like thing, some kind of like ghostly figure, mm-hmm. but like I'm talking like monstrous, like giant, like she would fill the entire hallway or something, right? And she just like peeks her head in the door and like her face just turns like this all the way upside down. And then I'm like, what is going on?
Why?
And I'm like, I'm not actually seeing it, but in my head is creating these stories. It's like I'm dreaming, but like my eyes are open, so I'm not seeing the dream.
Yeah.
But my brain is processing the dream.
Right. So you're still like processing actual fear.
So I'm looking out the door like, all right. And so now I have to sleep with my doors closed because if for some reason I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm having one of these episodes where I'm just like dreaming while being awake without seeing the dream, like I can't have shadows because then I see stuff in the shadows or like my brain's like, there's something there, dude. You've got to freak out. There's something there, dude. So, but yeah, but those AI videos are exactly that, where your brain's like, I don't know what's going on right now. And we're scared. Mm-hmm. And so it creates these crazy like ideas in your head as that happens. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of horror comes from, because even like what's that one movie? I want to say it's called Mama or something stupid. Is it Mama? I don't know. Mother? I don't know. Where like there was like a giant like creature woman thing, mm-hmm. and her mouth opens like gigantic, or whatever. I think there's even a scene where she's like eating something, like her mouth is over somebody. I don't remember, but yeah, like things like that I've seen or had visions like that be in the state of sleep paralysis. Yeah. So I'm like 100% these are crazy, because how could the human brain come up with these ideas? Just like, oh, it'd be really cool as if we had this like woman who walks on walls. Or like what's the famous one from like the 90s or the early 2000s that like was like the first movie where like they were like crab walking and it was the creepiest thing on planet Earth. I don't know if it was Grudge maybe.
Oh, Grudge.
Maybe, I don't know, one of those.
I think you're right.
Like the only reason that's creepy is because it reminds me, all of those movies that are semi-creepy or different remind me so much of sleep paralysis, like what they call sleep paralysis demons. They're really, it's a stupid name and term in my thing. I think it's just more or less like your brain doesn't know how to process. So it creates this idea of you should be scared because we can't sleep. We think there's a threat. So then it creates these
and your brain is processing, looking for patterns, looking for
that's
animals or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like a survival instinct.
Yeah. That's actually where the idea of like gray aliens comes from. Like if there's books written about this, about the phenomenon of like the gray alien, which is very similar, by the way, to the look of like these, tribal masks and stuff, is because your brain creates these images that's like that are uncanny valley, right? Mm. It creates, and so it's like, hey, this is familiar.
It's close, but it's not.
Your brain's just going, hey, this is familiar, but you should be scared. So now we're creating this image so that way, if you do need to get up and kill something or run away from it, you have that adrenaline at least going, right? Mm-hmm. And you can do it, and it's a survival mechanism, right?
Yeah.
But that's where all this like crazy, imaginative, scary, negative, creepy, dark stuff comes from.
Have you ever gone camping in like the actual woods?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like deep in the woods, not a campground?
Yeah.
Okay. So me and Elias took a trip up to a hunting property in Kalkaska. And it was the first time we'd ever gone there, and we got a late start. You know, we're going up there for hunting season. So it's dark at 6 p.m. in Michigan, you know, during the hunting season. So we get a late start up there. We're driving up there, and to get to the property, you have to drive down the snowmobile trail. And there's a road that cuts across Kalkaska called 72. So there's this snowmobile trail you have to drive down, and then the driveway is 3 miles off of that snowmobile trail. Yeah. To get up to the 6 parcels where, you know, we had, you know, ownership of one of them. Yeah. So I'm using Onyx Hunt, which is like a hunting GPS app, so you can like track where your blinds are, track your trails. Yeah. And then you can also like look at property lines. So if you pay for it, you can see who owns what. Anyway, we get up there, it's completely fucking dark out. Yeah. And I'm literally I'm driving blind, looking at my phone, following the GPS to like get into my property line. Yeah. So that I know like, all right, we're at least we're on our property. We can pop the tent up wherever the fuck we're at. Yeah. So we get up there like 7 p.m. It's pitch black. I mean, like the darkest dark you've ever seen. Yeah. No stars, no lights, no house lights, no fires, nobody's around. And it's fucking dead silent. Like a winter's night silent where there's snow on the ground and like you can't hear anything. Right. So I got the headlights of my old car, my Traverse on. Mm-hmm. I pop my tent, throw our sleeping bags in. I'm like, we'll worry about all the tools and stuff later. We don't even know where we're at. Let's just get inside here and go to bed. So we get inside the tent, and we're like both exhausted from driving and packing and doing all the shit we had to do to get ready for this trip. Right. So we get in the bed and we go to sleep, or get in our sleeping bags and we start going to sleep. Yeah. And then there's the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. Just like rumbling the ground, shaking the trees, like, and we're like, what the fuck is that? Me and him car's off, headlights are off. It's pitch black out now. Yeah. All I have is like my phone light and a little Energizer, you know, headlight that's like 100 lumens. So it's like you turn the light on, all you can see is like the mist floating past right in front of your face. You can't see anything. Yeah. I'm like, what the and Elias is like, Dad, and I'm like, it's okay, buddy. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I'm panicking, and he's like, yeah. And I zip the tent window open, and I open it up or roll it up, you know, and it's made out of fucking raincoat material, so it's loud as shit too. Yeah. And I'm looking, and there's just like a glow, like a light, like way off in the distance. We're like, what the fuck is that? Yeah. I have no idea what this glow is. It doesn't look familiar to me. And this tiny little dot is like getting closer and closer and closer to us. And it's getting louder. We're both like, what the fuck? It was a guy on a 3-wheeler. To come see who we are. And if we were lost. And it was like 10 p.m. So he must have like, yeah, you know, got home and saw that we saw a light way out in the distance or something. Who's that? You know? So it turned out it was our neighbor, Brian. Yeah. Who, Brian like grew up in Royal Oak and decided he wanted to like move out to the sticks of Kalkaska. So he like owns a little cabin and he like fishes and grows his own food and whatever. He's an interesting guy. Yeah. But dude, it being so dead silent and so pitch black had messed with my perception so much that just a guy rolling up on a 1985 Honda 3-wheeler was fucking terrifying. Yeah. It was the scariest thing of all time. It's hilarious. And then he shows up. He's like, hey, what's up, man? Who are you guys? I'm like, oh, we're the owners of this parcel. He's like, I've never seen you here before. And I was like, my name's, you know, whatever. And here's the proof or whatever. And he's like, oh, and I don't need to see all that. I just didn't know anyone bought this. And, you know, no one's been here in so long and blah, blah, blah. And so we shook each other's hand. He's like, come on over in the morning. We'll eat breakfast together. And, you know, I got eggs and stuff. So I'm like, fuck yeah. Okay. You know? Yeah. So that's cool. We went to sleep, went over there and hung out with him. And he told us his story and showed us his setup and told me what he knew about my property. And, that's you know, cool. It was cool, but man, was it scary. Right. To be like, you know, it's funny how, I mean, and I have similar stories about hunting where, you know, your perception gets so skewed from being in silence
Right.
You know, and it makes you, honestly, now that I'm talking about this out loud, I'm wondering how much like watching TV and listening to music and like just always having some kind of noise on that's not just the noise that I'm creating has messed with my perception. Because
for sure.
You know, like
for sure, dude.
Me and Dad went hunting probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We went deer hunting, and we didn't have time to go up to any of our friends' properties, so we went like public land hunting.
Yeah.
In Oakland County. So, I don't have a blind. I don't have a pop-up blind. I haven't done any like work. You know, I'm like,
right.
Let me just hike out to somewhere where I find like a deer run or something, and I can just sit and wait, kind of thing. Because I can't spot and stalk on public land. I'm gonna fucking run into a bunch of people, and they're gonna be pissed off that I ruined their hunts. You know. So, I basically make like a makeshift blind before first light. You know, you get up at 5 a.m, you get all, 4 or 5 a.m, you get all settled in. And then by the time the sun's rising at 7:30, you're in position and you're waiting for the deer to be moving, Right. So I make this makeshift blind of dead wood that I find in the dark.
Yeah.
And I basically pile up a bunch of hay that had like dried out by some miracle in the middle of deer season. And I sit on it. And like I sit on that, my backpack's like on my backpack's like at my upper shoulders up against a tree. So I'm like kind of 3/4 of the way laying down.
Yeah.
So like my head's pointed, like my chin's tucked, and I'm looking down past my feet to with my binos looking for deer.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing. 12 hours of laying. I got there at 4:30, 5, whatever in the morning. For 12 hours, I'm laying there and it's dead silence. All you hear is walnuts falling and like the occasional squirrel jumping through trees. Right. I mean, and it's so quiet.
Yeah.
And I see that there's another hunter and he's like 100 yards away across this clearing. So I'm keeping my eyes on him. Just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like just like scanning all of the property that I can see, and then looking at him once in a while just to like recenter myself, like, oh, where was he at? And then, and it's dead silent again. And there's just boom, boom, boom. And it's right before last legal light. Like the sun's about to set.
Right.
You can't shoot anymore. Boom, 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 coming up behind me. And I'm like, and then I don't know if you've gone deer hunting, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you get that like deer fever, that adrenaline where your like heart's
right.
You can feel your heart beating in your throat and you're like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah.
You have this like primal reaction to an animal coming up to you, and you gotta make a decision whether you're gonna take its life or not. And
right.
And boom, 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 all these like huge footsteps and crunching leaves and crunching sticks.
Yeah.
It's coming up behind me. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't roll over. I'm going to spook it. So I'm trying to like peek over my shoulder, like left and right, just to like see what I can see without moving too much. And it's getting louder and louder and louder. And now it's like, it's so loud and it's coming up so quick that now I have to turn around for my own safety. Like I have to turn around and see, you know. So I'm like, fuck, I'm going to ruin this hunt. But all right. And I flip over and a fucking turkey is like 3 feet away from my face.
A turkey?
I turn around and a turkey's face is like 3 feet away from my head.
You were so zoned in that like even turkey footsteps sound
turkey footsteps walking on sticks and leaves and branches.
Sounded like an
elephant stomping its way through my living room.
That's wild.
Boom, boom, boom. I mean, it was scary.
What, though? I do understand that a little bit. That seems a little extreme, but I can see that happening. I think the most adrenaline rushing experience I had hunting was I went with like dad and his dad, Grandpa Smith or whatever.
Is that how they know each other?
I think so. But I went with dad and Grandpa. Like when I was, I don't know, maybe a teenager or something. But this is the one that stuck with me. I actually stopped hunting because it got like super bored. I think it's a waste of a day, honestly, unless you're really going somewhere and getting a lot of meat. But I went to a place, or we went to this place and we were walking or whatever, and I wanted to like just walk around. And if I remember correctly, I was just kind of walking and like, I think Dad and Grandpa were in separate blinds. Dad was like, Grandpa was getting annoyed. I remember because Dad was doing like these deer calls, like too many deer. And Grandpa was like, dude, you can't like just keep doing deer calls. Like, you know, Grandpa was getting upset, or not upset, but annoyed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I was like, oh, I think we were like, I was sitting in the blind for a while, like for hours. And then I was like, hey, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to ruin anything, but I kind of want to just walk away. Like there's a field over there. Let me just go explore. Cause I'm like kind of young and I don't feel like just sitting there. I got too much energy to be doing that. So I'm walking and there's this part just before the field, there's the ground it's almost like a trail. And then where the trees are. So there's trees on either side of this trail, but the trail is lower than the side with the trees on it. So if you can envision that.
So you're like in a valley kind of thing?
Not a valley, but like a trench, but it's a path.
Okay.
It's like a walking path that like animals have obviously created over time or something. But it's like relatively deep. Like I'm talking at least, I want to say like 2 feet deeper than, you know what I mean? It almost looked like it was man-made, or it'd be like I don't know how to explain it, like a bike path, or like when we did mountain biking, it was similar to that, but like I'm talking much wider, probably twice as wide as like a, you know what I mean? Like a path or whatever. So it's probably like maybe 6 or 8 feet wide and then like 2 feet deeper than the surrounding ground. So it was like, you're kind of like in this little trench, right? But it's a path and you're walking. So I'm walking down to the field to want to go explore. Right. And like it was silent. It was silent. And then all of a sudden I heard these booms. Right. And I'm like, oh shit, something's coming. And it's gotta be an animal. Right. So like I turn around and I'm talking within seconds of hearing, it's like it was dead silent until it wasn't. And it was frightening. And it was just do, 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 do. And I turn around and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And these 2 deer jump across, like, I want to say 20 feet behind me, right? But I turn around so I see it. They both jump across and land and just take off. And then like within seconds, they're silent again. And I'm like, that's I had never experienced anything like that in my life. It was like a movie. Like when you see a movie and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, something's coming out of nowhere. And you're like, that never happens in real life. Like in the woods, it does.
Yeah.
Like deer are invisible until they're
in and out of existence.
It's crazy. It's like they're spirits. It doesn't even seem real. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, oh, all of a sudden loud noise, like, like, you know, they're galloping. And then I turn and they jump across, you know, to the other side. And I'm like, well, first of all, it's like a memory that I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool.
I mean, they literally,
but scary as hell.
It is really like they pop in and out of existence.
Yeah.
They go from complete non-existence to like, they're the main thing happening and just boom, 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 boom. And they, you know, yeah, dude. The first time I went hunting, I was in a blind at Ray's property with Ray. I was in the blind with Ray. And first of all, I was like 15 and I brought backwoods cigars. Like, I don't know how I got my hands on them, but I did.
Yeah.
And so I'm like smoking a backwoods cigar and Ray's just like, he's like, first of all, I want to tell you, I'm pissed off at you. I'm like, you're pissed off at me? You know, I'm like 15 or 16 years old. So I'm like, what did I do? And he's like, you bring a cigar for yourself, but not for me. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I'm like smoking. I'm a kid sitting there smoking, which is so funny to think back because my son's 12. He's going to be 12.
Right.
I couldn't imagine him lighting up a cigar.
Right.
That's so funny to me. But so I'm like 15, 16 years old, smoking a cigar with Ray, sitting in the blind. And, you know, we're like whispering, talking shit,
right.
You know, talking about like projects that need to be done around his property that he wants to get done while we're there. And, you know, hey, we got to chop some wood for tonight and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, whatever. Talking about nothing. Killing the time, asking me what I'm interested in. I'm asking him about his business, blah, blah, blah. And so it gets quiet and then all of a sudden it's not. And there's this, we have this blind. If you picture... The blind is square to like a compass, right?
Yeah.
So you have a window facing north, south, east, and west.
Yeah.
These little like 6-inch tall windows by like maybe 1 foot windows.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough to like put your barrel out the window and be able to look through your scope.
Right.
And there's a creek it's like a runoff. It's barely a creek. It's like 3 inches deep, like in the springtime when it's full. So like for the most part, it looks like a runoff ditch kind of, it's just like eroded away the ground. But it's enough that like if something walks in there, it's camouflaged by the shit that's on the ground in the foliage or whatever. Mm-hmm. So the first day I ever go out hunting, I got fortunate enough to see a deer on my first night. Yeah. But right before last light, a doe walks up through that creek bed. Yeah. Steps on a couple of sticks, which gets our attention because it's like crack, crack. You know? And I mean, it fucking echoes out in the woods. Right. And she's like, oh, pay attention, And I have a 12 gauge shotgun with me, and I think with iron sights. So it comes up, it crests over that creek bed, and now it's 15 yards from us. And so now this is the first time I've ever gotten that adrenaline. Doom, 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 right. Doom, heart's beating in my throat. And he's like, you got to take it. You got to, if you're going to take it, you got to take it. Mm-hmm. And this is youth hunt. So I had a doe permit. And I wasn't going to pass up anything. It's my first deer. So I'm like, I got to get something. Right. And he's telling me that's a huge doe. And I'm like, I don't know if it is or not. I've never, this is my first experience. I'm like, okay. And so I start aiming at it and I'm getting ready for it to get into a position where I can shoot it. And I don't know if it was like facing me or maybe its hindquarters were facing me, but I couldn't get a clear shot of where you're supposed to shoot deer at. Right. And so it starts like turning away. So it's like walking forward, but turning right as it's like, okay. So its hindquarters were facing me and it starts like doubling back, kind of turning to the right as it's starting to walk away. So it's getting out further and further out of the window. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck. He's like, if you're going to take it, you have to take it like now. And so Ray goes, hey, and the deer like stops and looks. And I was like, I have to shoot. So like when I shot, the butt of the shotgun was on my bicep because it was so awkward. Because it was so far past the window. Yeah. I couldn't actually shoulder it and be able to see. So I put it in my bicep for whatever reason. It was the only way I could do it. And he yells, hey, it looks up at us. And I'm like, I have to shoot. So, and I had a clear shot. So I shot it. And I was shooting lead slug, which is like do you know what lead slug is? It's like instead of a shotgun shell with a bunch of BBs in it, it's like one big fucking glob of lead. Yeah. So I shot it with lead slug and gun goes off. Boom. Ears are ringing. I've never shot anything without earmuffs on before. Right. So my ears are ringing horribly. Yeah. I got adrenaline. Do. I mean, it is such a visceral experience on all your senses. Right. And I'm like, and also I just killed something, right? So like my heart's do. I'm like, oh my God, holy fuck. And he's like, calm down. And I'm like literally shaking. I'm like, he's like, we're all right. Take a few breaths. You're all right. Let's go take a look at it. And you could hear it dying. Yeah. And I'm do. Yeah. Like, fuck. We go outside and he's like, you're gonna have to shoot it again. I'm like, no. And he's like, nah, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, what do you mean? And so like we walk up to it and he like pokes it with the butt of the gun or something, or maybe the barrel of the gun to like make sure it's not going to jump on us and it's actually dead. And he grabs its legs and flips it over. And I had shot its heart out of the other side of its body. So its heart was on the ground. Whoa. And he's like, camp rules, you got to bite that. I was like, fuck you, dude. I'm not biting that. Yeah. But so I told that story to say the next day I saw my first buck. Yeah. So I killed a doe and then I was able to kill a buck too, but it was in the exact same spot at the same time. Yeah. It was last light, like literally like maybe 20 minutes of legal light left. Right. Exact same spot. So I shot my first doe and my first buck 2 days in a row. Yeah. And it was in the exact same spot. So when I shot again, I mean, I put my shoulder in a sling that week when I got home because it was like because I shot off my bicep twice. Right. And yeah, dude. That
seems exhilarating. I never shot anything.
I mean, I think people get the wrong idea because you see like these hillbilly, like, I don't know, if you ever like watched the Sportsman channel back in the day, like if dad's like got it on and we're at his house and it's just like some fat hick sitting in a blind going, hell yeah, brother. And he's like shooting a buck with a sniper rifle from a quarter mile away. It's just like, this is like, yeah, fuck yeah. And they're like high fiving their buddies and like drinking Coors Light. And it just comes off as super shitty. But then, but I don't know. For me, it's not I wouldn't describe it as like a happy experience. Like I don't enjoy it. Like I'm not like, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm like, there's like this, like, you're sad that something died, but then you're also like in a way grateful that, you were able to kill this animal and this animal's going to feed you for a year, right. It's like,
yeah, I would imagine it's different.
It's an odd like gratitude.
Yeah.
There's like a grief and a gratitude that comes like is overwhelming for me. I don't like high five my buddy and go, fuck yeah, brother, like they do on the Sportsman channel. I'm like, all right, I did my job. This thing died, but now I got meat for a year for my family, and it's not that I would have to hunt for meat to feed my family, but it's like so much better than like gray packaged meat that's at Walmart,
Yeah, it's better for you for sure.
Yeah.
I imagine so. I'm not opposed to going hunting. I thought about it like almost every year. I'm like, oh, I should go with Dad. Maybe I should take Dad hunting because Dad don't really go at much anymore. I actually at all anymore. But it's kind of cool. But I'm like, also, I don't really, when I do have time off, like I kind of want to, I definitely don't. That doesn't make me feel like I'm not excited. I wouldn't be excited to do that. So I haven't, because part of me wants to do it just to relive doing it when I was younger with Grandpa and Dad. But also I would regret wasting my precious days off.
See, that's the thing. So you started to say earlier, like, I don't know, that I feel like that's like a waste of a day. If you're not like coming home with like bags of meat, it's a waste or whatever. But it's not. Because the thing is, the hunting itself is not about the result. If it was, you'd have just a bunch of miserable fucks going hunting and like we're just like depressed. That's not the thing. The thing is not coming home with results. You want results, right? That's what you're putting all this effort into. Yeah. But it's about doing your research. It's about cutting your shooting lanes. It's about planning your blinds correctly. It's about like doing research on what the animals are doing.
It's a sport. There's things to it that require.
Chess. Yeah. It's chess with living things that have no idea that you exist.
Right. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
But even take away all of the results and all the research and all the other shit that you should be doing as a hunter. Really, it's just it's meditation without calling it meditation. You go out into the woods.
Yeah.
You decompress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like bringing my phone with me because I don't want to be texting people while I'm in there.
Right.
So you're in the woods, you decompress. You're like letting yourself be in nature.
Yeah.
And be a part of nature.
Right.
And then if you're lucky, you get to feed your family with the effort that you're putting into it. It's meditation with a result.
Yeah, that part I can wrap my head around. I mean, for sure. I like being in nature, period. Even not hunting. Like I like to just go and walk around in the woods. It's fun. Feels good. But I'm just saying, like, to take like 5 days off, and those 5 days I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care about it enough to do that. I guess. I think by day 2 I'd be like, or day 3 I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I just know myself well enough that I would just be like, see, I don't know though, because I went camping with some friends like in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't really the middle of nowhere. It was like just on the outskirts of maybe, I don't know how far. I want to say like maybe like 10 or 15 miles outside of Oscoda, but it was like kind of this camp area. It was like a campground, but it was like one of those ones where like there's no one working there. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like if you want to camp here, just throw like $20 in an envelope and put it in this drop box. No one works there. No one even like, I think they do like maybe collect their money like once every week or something, that kind of thing. And like, that was really nice. Cause like, it was 5 days of just being in the woods, right by like on a small lake. And, it was cool. I mean, it was relaxing. I don't know. I like being in nature, but I don't know. I think because I haven't had a good work-life balance in so long. It would not be a priority to be like, I'm taking 5 days off and I'm just going to sit in the woods, or I'm taking 2 weeks. Like there's people who take a month off to go hunting. And I'm like, that's insane. What are you doing for a month? But if you're going with a bunch of buddies and you're still having fun, you know what I mean? It's not like always, it's not just you in the woods for a month.
I'm trying to understand your objection to it, because you're saying like you don't have a good work-life balance, but like that's the point.
Right.
Is you go get in the woods, you force yourself to slow down and decompress and get out of your phone and get out of like your checklists and shit that you have to get done. Get yourself out of having to get the dishes done and having to get your groceries ordered and your meals prepped.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you reset, and then when you're not actively hunting, then you go back to camp where you're hanging with the boys.
Well, no, if I'm going with people,
you've never done it though. You know what I mean? Like I think you would like it if it was like, hey, get off your phone, stop scrolling through reels, don't watch podcasts, don't produce anything, just fucking hang out, go in the woods and hunt.
Yeah.
And when the hunting hours are over, come back to the camp and hang out and drink beer and make potatoes and sausage until somebody gets a deer. Then we're going to cook, the back straps or whatever on the fire. You make coffee. Dude, I don't know, man. There's so many like little nuances of deer camp.
Yeah.
That are like, I long for those things.
Yeah.
Like waking up in the morning, I tent camp when I do deer camp. So it's when you wake up in the morning, your fucking nose is frozen.
When's the last time you went? It has to have been forever ago.
A year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago.
You went. I go to Kalkaska every year for the last 5 years.
Huh. I didn't know that.
You wake up in the morning, your nose is like frozen cold. And the first thing you want to do is get some hot coffee in you to like shake the frost off of you.
Right.
And so you get up and it's fucking frigid out. It might be 25 degrees outside, but you put all your gear on, you zip yourself out of your tent.
I went a lot when I was younger with dad and grandpa. I don't know. When I think back to those days, and I don't know that I would be super, I don't know. Like I know myself well enough that I like camping and I like the cold and I like nature. I think just the idea of just, I don't know.
I think going camping would be good for you. Because I know
camping.
Huh?
I go camping. I'm saying hunting.
Well, that too. I mean, whatever. I know you well enough to say.
Here we go.
No.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What I think you should do, Chris.
No, I know you well enough to know that you always want to just get shit over with.
Oh,
you gotta stop playing with that. That's so loud.
Yeah.
But I know you well enough to know that you want to get shit over with. Like there's been times where we went disc golfing and like there was like a 18-hole course, but the 9th hole was near the parking lot. You're like, all right, I'm out. I'm like, what? I thought we were doing a full round or whatever. Or like, like you just like hit the fucking eject button. Sometimes you're like, all right, I'm going to go.
Yeah. Sometimes I just don't feel like doing the whole thing.
Right. But I think it would be good for you to get into a place where, you have to settle in, and then you can like stop worrying about getting back to work and getting back to.
Yeah. But I probably like I, even the last time I went camping a couple of years ago, like for 5 straight days, like by day 5, I was like, I got shit to do. Like, this is great. It's been relaxing. But then I'm also like, I don't know. I'm a busybody. Sometimes like it's weird because I'm not, but I am. Like I'm not, but I always like if I want to do something, I like to have the option to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good. I like camping. It's been a couple of years, but I also like it a little bit. I don't like it. Like I like it. I like being in nature, but it's also, I don't know. I can also go to a nature center and just walk around, or go to the woods and walk around, go to like a trail.
Yeah.
I like that too.
That's cool to do on like a weekly basis for sure. Like go
but I mean,
walk
like,
in nature or whatever.
Sitting in the woods with just with drinking beer and making food and stuff. It's like, it's cool. It's cool for a couple of days. But then afterwards I'm like, man, I kind of feel like doing this I don't know. I kind of feel like doing anything else right now,
Well, that's what it would be for, is to decompress and get yourself out of the rat race. And it's a reset. That's all for sure.
Yeah. I reset quicker than most. Oh my God. I reset pretty quick, dude.
I don't think you do.
I do. I reset really quick, and then I'm like, all right, I got work to do.
I'm not really like trying to convince you. I just think I think you should try different shit.
It's funny because I'm like 40 years old and done all this stuff, and you're like, I think you should try this one day. It's like, you haven't tried it
in 20 years.
We tried what?
Go hunting for a week.
Yeah, it's probably been
you haven't done it in
20
years.
Yeah, it's probably been 20 years. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've told you that I've thought about doing it, but then I'm like, also I get such limited time off, and I work so much that it's like, it's hard to justify. I'm going to spend 5 days in the woods. I'm just saying, it's crazy. Those 5 days, like I don't know. I don't even like go. I'll be honest with you. I don't even go on vacations because I just have I'm like, cool. I got 5 days. I have X, Y, and Z I've been putting off for 2 months. It'd be nice to just get some of that shit done. I don't know. To me, that's rewarding. I kind of like that too. You know, but you're not wrong. I think I need to.
I think that's.
I don't know.
I think that's where that circles back to the work-life balance, because if you have a vacation, that vacation shouldn't be, all right, now you get to catch up.
Yeah.
It should just be like, oh, I need to, I'm already caught up on my regular life shit. So now that I have 5 days off, I can go just exist with people I like. And just decompress and not be. It's good to be goal driven, but it also leads to burnout, and then that's when people get emotional about shit that shouldn't be emotional. You know what I mean? And
that's
then you want to
entirely
rip the pull the ripcord and be like, fuck this place and fuck you, and then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit I have to do so that I don't. I have to. I am goal driven. I need to set goals, otherwise I get depressed, and then I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything.
Right.
And but also I need to whatever. This is all part of the same thing. What I've been doing lately is I keep my phone in a different room from me.
Yeah.
So that I'm more likely to be in the moment with the kids and with Paige, even if we're just at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
There's I've found myself getting into this habit of being all right, let's put our show on, and then we watch our show for 4 or 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Paige aren't talking. I'm getting annoyed when Paige might be like, hey, can you let the dog out? Or the kids might come, Dad, can you? And then I'm annoyed by it. And it's because I just want to get back to the show.
Mm.
It's what am I doing? I work all day to get home to these people. And now I'm mad that I'm spending my time with those people.
Right.
Instead of enjoying their time. I'm hey, shut up. I want to get back to this TV show that I'm watching.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't know. See, I don't relate to that because I've had the opposite problem. Every relationship I've ever been in, I'm all about quality time, and everybody's just hey, you want to watch this movie? And I'm yeah, sure. Yeah. But really deep down, I'm why don't we just talk and hang out?
Yeah.
Let's throw on music or something that doesn't fully distract us.
Well,
I don't know.
We have 2 completely different issues though, because I have 3 kids and a fiance where with the kids specifically, getting 1 kid to be happy at any given time is pretty easy.
Yeah.
You're hey, you're upset. Yeah, let's spend time together. Let's do something together. Or go have your alone time and let your big emotions go away, and then we can hang out. 2 kids, it's a little more difficult because you'll have 1 kid who's content, and then 1 kid who wants attention, wants to spend quality time, or is upset about something.
They all have different
So then you have 3
issues.
kids.
Yeah.
And it's like trying to maintain a sandcastle. It's just like, motherfucker, like, all right, okay, you're hungry, you're fed, your pencil sharpener isn't working. Let me fix that. Okay, I fix that. Oh, you can't get the shower to turn on. All right, let me go turn the shower on. Oh, you don't know what to do with your chores next. And then it's like, so like sometimes I'm in like I get into this frenzy. I don't get into this frenzy. My kids get into this frenzy where it's like, I'm the go-to parent because Paige is a step parent, right? And they go to her for a lot of shit. Not to say they don't. They do. They go to her for a lot of stuff, and she helps a ton. Yeah. But I'm the primary parent. Yeah. And so the kids have a question. Dad, can I have something to eat? Dad, can I paint this? Dad, how do I turn on the vacuum? Dad, I can't get the vacuum cord to go back in. Dad, how come the Xbox isn't working? Right. And then like sometimes there's like they get into this frenzy where it's like a question every 5 minutes for hours. Yeah. And by the time they're settled into like doing whatever R&R that they're going to do, they're going to play or they're going to watch TV or play a video game or something. Yeah. By the time they're done with that, I'm like so miserable because I'm like, my brain is just on fire from answering questions and making decisions for like 5 hours. And I'm like, dude. And Paige will be like, like she'll call me out on it. And in ways I'm grateful for it because like, I just want to be an asshole sometimes from like, fucking go, you go, fucking leave me alone. And I want to like my nature is just like, get away from the thing that's inconveniencing me because I'm getting frustrated as fuck. Right. But then, Paige will call me out on it and be like, dude, like you spent all day at work and now you're like miserable when your kids want to hang out with you. Like we want to hang out with you. And so I have to like, okay, all right. I'm not mad at the kids. I'm not mad that they're here. I want to spend time with my kids. I love my kids. I love my fiance. Right. But like, okay, all right. So now I'm trying to engineer less questions for me. So it's like, okay, how can I do that? Well, like the number one question is like, what do I do next when we're cleaning the house? Mm-hmm. So now instead of thinking about what my chores are or like what goals I have, I'm thinking about what four people's goals and chores and steps are. And it's overwhelming. Right. So like I got like a chore chart for the kids. Mm-hmm. And they're split up like two or so. They have 2 or so chores each. And the 3 kids, and so like 2 chores are red, 2 chores are yellow, 2 chores are blue. Yeah. And every week someone's name goes from red, blue, yellow. So it's a revolving door of chores. So it's like Elias does the dishes for 2 weeks. Okay, now McKenna's going to do the dishes. Well, now Elias is going to sweep and do the counters. And Jamie's going to do the breezeway in the bathroom or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then so like that's a revolving door. But then they have their daily chores too. Right. Which is like lay your clothes out, take a shower, brush your teeth, pack your backpack. Yeah. Whatever. Now they know what to do and they settle in. They're like, oh, I'm red this week. I don't even know what that means. Like I know what chores have to be done, but I don't know what red means. But they just kind of settled into this new habit. So like Jamie will be like, I'm red this week, so I have to do this. Yeah. And Eliza, I'm blue, so that's not my job this week. I'm blue. Right. And they just settle in. They do their chores. No,
that's cool, man.
And so
I like that.
It's helping taking some decisions.
I wish my job was that easy. I wish I could go and be like, I'm blue this week.
It's literally delegating. It's being a foreman. Right. It's literally what I'm doing as a parent. But now I'm like, hey, now I have to like, so now I have to jump in and help like when the kid, like Jamie, for instance, has a hard time with dishes because he's 5. Right. So it's like, all right, man, I'll do the knives and I'll do the pots and pans. You do everything else. And he might not know where something goes. And so there's still questions. And sometimes it still gets me to the point where I'm like, dude, I feel like my brain's on fire. Right. Like, fuck, let me think about something else other than your guys' chores and requests. But if we're trying to engineer less questions so that we can like spend our energy hanging out with like quality time with the kids. Yeah. Because by the time our daily stuff is done, I'm like, I don't even want to hang out with you guys. And that's I don't like being like that. Right. So I don't know. Like, I think the next thing is they have free reign at their mom's house. Yeah. And I don't allow that because then they would just eat nothing but chips and drink juice.
Right,
and,
of course. Yeah.
You know, do all the things that's going to make them hyper and miserable.
Right.
And so they're limited on video games. They're limited on snacks. So I think the biggest step was getting this chore chart, which me and Paige talked about. Then me and Paige's friend talked about, and she kind of convinced me to do
That's such a good idea.
It's done so much.
You kind of do have to run your household like in elementary school for it to be.
You have to run it like a business.
Yeah.
You have to run it like a business.
Right.
Forget in elementary school. I mean, I'm not, you know, you have to run it like a business that's like, hey, this is what has to get done.
Right.
You know?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
But now, so doing the chore chart has been huge, but now the next thing is,
you know what? I have this
engineering snacks that I'm okay with them.
I feel like I have this this natural ability with kids a little bit, because when I dated someone with a couple of kids, and like it was so like she would always be like, you know, I got you. It's going to be a lot, and I'm like, it's okay. Well, it's fine. You know, we'll see. And it wasn't. Honestly, that was the easiest part of that relationship was probably just the kids were easy. It's like, hey, help me with this, you know. Or, hey, do you need help with your homework?
The only thing kids want is for the adults to show up for them.
To show up and also be involved. They want to be involved.
Well, that's what I mean.
They want to learn shit.
That's what I mean.
The little sponges, man.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Like she had such a hard time with getting the kids like to help. I mean, they were young too when I first started dating her, but she had a hard time getting the kids to even listen to her, let alone do anything that. And I was like getting them to help me with the dishes. And I was like, it doesn't even matter if you do a good job. I'm the one washing them, but it's like, I'm just showing you how it's done. And they loved it. They loved just seeing how to wash a dish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it, because as a parent, you get, when they're young, you're frustrated. She had two little ones. So it's like, she didn't have, you know, one was, you know, going through some stuff because of her breakup with her ex, whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the youngest one was just, you know, just a wild animal. Just kids, just a wild kid. And I'm hilarious though. I mean, super cool, funny, fun to be around, easy to like kind of understand what's going on with them. Like they didn't have these like any kind of deep rooted issues. You know what I mean? Like they were just kids, and they were like, they just wanted to be listened to. They wanted someone to be there for them. And well, I mean, I don't know. I have this understanding about, I think I have this kind of understanding with, it's funny because I don't have kids, but I don't know. I think if I ever do have kids, I would do really well.
So the main thing, I remember reading one time, or maybe I saw it in a video or something, but it was like it was a Mr. Rogers quote.
Yeah.
And he's like, the worst thing you can do as an adult or as a parent is to forget what you felt like as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, and you know, I think about that kind of thing once in a while. I remember feeling like there was times as a kid where I felt like an inconvenience. Like, I'm not asking for my needs to be met because I don't want whatever adult I'm confiding in to be like, oh, okay.
Right.
And I'm like, and now I'm struggling being that parent who's like, God damn it, another problem.
Right.
And I don't want to be like that. And I don't think you didn't go to Teresa's funeral.
No.
At Teresa's funeral, that was one thing that Mom brought up that like made me sob. Like I was upset because, you know, Teresa's been in our lives, our whole lives. But Mom was talking about like Teresa never made any of us like feel like we were out of place. Whenever there was like an adult party, Teresa would be like, come play pool with us. Come hang out. Hey, go get me this. And like, she would like get us in on jokes and like, she's like, hey, take this to this person. And
she was loving, man.
Yeah. And
she was a loving person.
She like her and Eric always made us feel like we were allowed to be in the basement. Yeah. Which like most people don't know this, but you know, or none of our audience is gonna know what was in our mom's basement.
Well, actually,
our mom, our mom had a full bar built in her basement. So there's like a pool table, lights, TVs. Yeah, it was like a sports bar in the basement.
Yeah, it was cool.
And there was, you know, and so she would have all her friends over, and it would just be, you know, maybe 5 or 6 adults like smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, and hanging out, talking shit, and playing music.
Yeah.
And like we would want to be involved because it's like a cool atmosphere.
Right.
And there was sometimes Mom would be like, come on, guys, go back upstairs. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
And, Eric and Teresa would jump in. No, it's okay. Come here, Matt. Let's play pool. I'll play you. I'll play you around a pool with you.
Yeah.
And then so like me, where my chin is like at the height of the pool table, is like, hell yeah, I'm going to kick Eric's ass in pool.
Yeah.
It was great, man. And I remember, so saying all that to say, kids want to be involved. Kids want to be seen and heard, and they want to be involved. And the worst thing you can do as a parent is treat them like inconveniences. And I'm struggling with that because I remember what it felt like to feel like an inconvenience. And
yeah,
but also I'm human and I'm trying to like be better, So
I like being an inconvenience.
I've seen some parents. I've seen some parents struggle with, like, they need to get something done. Like, okay, so the dishes. You were saying the dishes with the kid, the girl's kid that you were dating.
Yeah.
I've seen parents, as an example, try to get their kid to not inconvenience them by giving them a tablet and snacks or whatever.
Yeah.
So that the parent can do the dishes.
Right.
And then the kid comes around with like orange fingers because they're eating Cheetos and they're like overstimulated as fuck because they've been staring at bright colors and loud noises on their YouTube.
And then they wonder why they're acting out.
And then the kid's miserable as hell, can't be anywhere.
Throwing a fit.
Now the kid has to watch
he's been overstimulated and full of carbohydrates and has done nothing today except for stimulate himself.
Right. Watching Coco Melon all day on his tablet. And then they're like, the kid's throwing themselves on the ground crying and screaming
like, why
at
are you acting
Applebee's.
Like this? Well, it's like, yeah, right.
And it's like, because the kid's never been bored and the kid's never been involved.
Yeah.
So like now that you expect him to sit there and be silent, like, here's your tablet.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Or what you could do instead is have your dishes that you're going to do as an adult take 5 minutes longer.
Yeah.
And be like, come here, buddy. What you do is this.
Yeah.
And then you're investing in your own peace in the future when the kid gets to a point where they can help.
We had, when we were younger, when we got bored, we had so much fun by just pretending to be stuff or do stuff. Like, I don't know, man. I don't see that a lot. I mean, maybe it's different with your kids, but I don't see that a lot with other people's kids. Like, they're not like as imaginative as we were. Like, remember we used to like pretend we were magicians? I did. I would pretend like I could like put a pencil through a wall and shit. Like, I would do weird stuff all the time.
Matt, go in the basement. Matt, go in the basement. I swear to God, I got a trick. I am God. And I'd be like, oh my God, it's God. Fucking asshole.
Oh, it's funny. It's just, it's
do you remember
funny
Jelly
stuff.
Toe? I don't know.
Stop.
Do you remember Jelly Toe?
Stop, dude. I can see it. The viscosity. It's so gross. It's so gross. It's so gross. I can't even do so. And you know what's fucked up is like, even to this day, sometimes I make like a peanut butter and jelly, and if it's strawberry jelly, I'm just like,
you can't do it.
I don't think I've eaten strawberry jelly unless I had to, because I literally think about your disgusting infected toe.
Jelly toe, dude. Okay. So what happened is Mom had a computer chair in the basement. And we were running. You remember how it happened?
No.
Okay. We were running. Mom had a computer chair in the basement. She had just cleaned the basement out. She was about to get the pool table.
Yeah.
So it's empty down there. It used to be like a mini daycare down there. It was like play sets and kitchens.
Yeah. You're
and
talking
everything.
That long ago.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
You
were like a
There's play sets down there. There's like little kitchens and little kindergarten table with like
you were like
little
single digits, right?
Yeah, little, yeah.
No.
Anyway, there's a computer chair down there, and me and you were running and jumping onto the computer chair and just like crashing into the wall. Like run 5 feet, jump on the computer chair, glide for 10 feet, and boom, into the wall. And then we turn around and do it again. And we did that for fucking 20 minutes probably. And then one of the times I went to go jump on it, my foot got tangled up under the computer chair.
Yeah.
And it split in between my pinky toe and my ring finger toe. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Ring toe. And it split.
Yeah.
Like if someone peeled your toes apart and then just like took a scalpel and just sliced.
All right, man. Come on. God.
And It ripped open every other day for like a month. And like it didn't hurt me, but it would bother the shit out of you. And I had so much fun with it.
It's so gross.
I'd be like, hey, Chris. And I'd pull my toe to the side, jelly toe. And you'd be like, Chris, it's fucking stop. It's disgusting.
It's so fucking gross.
And it would just look like gel, like because the flesh was like bright pink and jelly toe.
So gross.
So funny. God, Mr. Pillowhead or whatever. Remember that doing that? And Mr. Pillowhead. It was the same voice. You fucking put a pillow on your face and you just look like a giant pillow guy. It's so stupid.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stupid stuff. I'd like to we would take the cushions off the couches and just we would lay in between them and then the other person would jump on the other person. I don't know what we just do weird shit, just fun, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I feel like kids don't even do that. They're just like, I want to play my video game.
No, every I
don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Okay, good. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong.
Every generation,
I want to be wrong.
Every generation that gets older says the same thing. Like there's a quote.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting into that boomer mindset. It's like these fucking kids.
Yeah, but it's not even that. No, it's like
or whatever.
There's a quote that's like, this generation is too privileged with technology and they don't understand and it was Confucius that said this. It's every generation since the beginning of time.
Stupid gas motors, or whatever. Actually, it's probably before that time, right?
Stupid aqueducts. They don't even know what it's like to fucking hike to water.
You're gonna have your oxes pull your
I used to
your
push
plows
my plow.
or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The
lazy
from
people
the beginning of time.
Their oxes.
Yeah. From the beginning of time, people have thought that the next generation is just lazy or whatever.
Yeah. No, I think we need.
It's not true.
I think our lives need to become even more convenient. Because I'll be honest with you, I can work 1,000,000 hours. I can produce music and do this podcast with you. And I'm okay. And the only reason is because I can have my groceries delivered if I don't have the time.
Yeah.
The only inconvenience I have is when I have to stop for gas. That's the only actual inconvenience I have in my life.
Yeah.
Also, I'm single. That helps.
It does. I mean, in certain ways.
Well, I don't mean that as all relationships are tough, but
they're work though.
They're work.
I mean, they're work.
Yeah, I have
even great.
Zero.
I have a great relationship.
Yeah,
with Paige,
it takes. Yeah.
And it's still work.
Of course,
they're still wait, hold on. What did you mean by that? I feel offended. What did you mean by that? And then we have to talk about. Or sometimes I'm being a dick because I'm in that frenzy of being overwhelmed by kids, and she'll hey. Yeah. Go to the bedroom.
Right.
Go take a timeout. You're being a dick. And I'll be like, fuck you. I don't say that.
Hey,
I don't talk to her
but you know what? At least
I'll be like,
see, now I like that though. I'd rather someone just be like, hey man, stop, get out of here for a minute.
Yeah.
Then internalize it. And then a month later, remember anything? Yeah. And then get all weird about it. And you're like, what? Who cares?
Yeah, she doesn't really do that. She will internalize
it's gonna happen.
She will internalize it, but then she'll come see me 5 minutes later and be like,
yeah,
why are you mad at me? And I'll be like, I'm not mad at you.
I'll be honest. That's all I want out of a that is all I would want out of a relationship is just at least someone to
tell you you're a cocksucker.
Yeah. Hey, you're being an asshole. Get out of here. Not internalize it and then throw it, be all offended and then start sleeping around or whatever.
No shit.
It's crazy how that works nowadays. Instead of just having the conversation, dude, I'm human, man.
Yeah.
It's even at my job, dude, having your personality under the microscope when you're going through some shit. I worked 70 hours, didn't take a day off to move. I moved in my free time before work and I was a miserable fuck that week.
Yeah.
And it literally came up hey man, you've been kind of negative. No shit. Be glad I didn't take a week off for this.
Yeah.
I'm here. You guys need me.
Yeah.
So lately.
But they should also call you on it.
No, I'm okay with that. And I'm like, that's fine. They should call you on it.
If you're I don't know, you have a weird job. It doesn't really matter because you're basically alone when you're doing your work.
I'm solely responsible for anything.
If it was in my trade, it would be hey, you're pissing your crew off. You're pissing the operator off. And people are miserable around you. You got to fucking straighten up your attitude.
No, I'm not even that bad. I'm not. Yeah. I don't get into confrontations with anybody.
Yeah.
They just noticed that because I would talk negative. I'd be like, man, this job sucks lately. Yeah. Or I'd be like tired and like, oh, you can't be so negative. Well,
yeah, people keeping people's attitudes straight is a huge part of work, though.
Yeah, it's like,
you know,
I definitely have. Well, there's a lot going on. I talked to you about it. Like, there's a lot. There's more layers to that one because it's as much as I love what I'm doing and where I'm at. There's so many like. I always say the grass is greener where you water it. And like the grass isn't greener on the other side. And that's true. Cause I've kind of like, I've been doing the same work in slightly different trades. Yeah. Over the last 15 years. And boy, do I miss working for direct assholes. I miss a guy who'd be like, hey, retard, that's not how we do this. Hey, dude, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. We don't do that here. Okay. No problem. Won't happen again. What I have dealt with recently is the opposite of passive aggressive beating around the bush. No one knows what really needs to happen. Yeah. Plans changing every 5 minutes. I'm like, literally, miserable. I have never worked and I love where I'm at. I love everyone I work with. I love the work. I love every part of it except for that. But that's supposed to change. I don't know.
Well, to circle back, that is what makes a relationship complicated is when there's mystery and there's instead of like Paige, like I was starting to say, Paige will internalize stuff that like maybe I'm being an asshole because I'm tired and the kids are overwhelming me and whatever other excuse I could come up with. Yeah. And Paige will internalize it for 5 minutes. Right. And, you know, if I like go to the bedroom to go decompress, she'll come in there and be like, did I do something? And I'm like, no. Like sometimes it confuses me because I don't even know how I'm coming off.
Right.
And she'll be like, okay, well, you said this, and this is how I took it. And then we'll have a conversation about it right then and there. And maybe I won't apologize in the moment or she won't apologize or whatever needs to happen in the moment because we're both still going through the emotion. Yeah. But it's like, hey, at least we know like, hey, I'm not your enemy. It's just like something happened where I got frustrated, you know, or I got overwhelmed and I started being an asshole and I didn't realize I was being an asshole. Right. You know? So having mysteries, it's like the biggest thing that makes a relationship difficult, whether it's at work or at home, you know?
Yeah. But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what.
And to be conflict averse is so toxic in itself.
Yeah. Because it also turns into a lot of shit talking and that doesn't solve anything.
No, it makes things so much worse.
Like that's the biggest issue I'm having at work now is just, it's a lot of he said, she said, and like, weird shit from it's like honestly, like
I said something to you the other day. It was like, what happens to a squirrel when it like tries to do like be on both sides? It like gets hit by cars on both sides of the street. Or what happens to a squirrel when it plays in the middle? It gets hit by cars from both sides of the street.
Right.
You know, and it's like that's what happens when you like you're conflict adverse. You're too afraid to be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, but it's like rubbing off on too many people that have stuck around. You know, and that's
so now it's becoming the culture.
Yeah, it's becoming the culture, which I'm like, at this point, I'm like, that's not for me, man. I like people who are just like, hey, dickhead. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can be direct without insulting.
I know, but I mean, the insults don't bother. Like in a shop, it's kind of like we joke. Yeah. It depends on where you work.
Everyone says it about my world too, but it's changing. People aren't really talking like that anymore.
Right.
You know,
it's kind of changing everywhere. Even where I work, it's not like that. We don't talk like that to each other. I'm just saying, like.
But 10 years ago in construction, for sure,
right?
People are, you know, saying ridiculous stuff, but you know. Being direct, I've only worked for a few guys in my entire career where they were direct and gentle. And like I don't need gentle, you know what I mean? Like that might come off as stupid.
Right.
But I mean there's a guy that I worked for where he was like, "Hey, this is why the decision you made didn't work out. Right. This is the kind of decision you need to look out for." Mm. You have seen it now.
That alone is like, that's like real leadership. Like where the hell is that? How hard is it to have, like, dude, you sit in an office all day. How hard is it to just say that? But, yeah. Anyway, we can talk about something else. What time? How long have we been going?
An hour 40.
Okay.
What time is it?
It's still pretty early.
Is it?
Yeah. Not even 1.
Right on. Well, I do want to get home for, my oldest to get home.
Right.
But yeah, dude. Well, let's wrap this one up.
All right. Sounds good.
Fuck yeah. I'm like kind of beat from like Paige hates when I say that. She like shits on me for it all constantly. Ooh, I'm beat. She's like, why can't you just say I'm tired? I'm beat. Ooh, beat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just it
is a weird word to use.
I'm beat.
I'm beat.
Just
I don't even like how it feels when I say it. I'm beat.
Yeah.
It's so much. Yeah.
You can picture like a My 600 Pound Life episode. The guy be like,
I'm beat.
I'm beat.
I'm beat. I'm beat.
Yeah. But
okay.
No, I am kind of
right.
I'm kind of beat. So
yeah,
I'm gonna take my fat ass to the gym and then hang out with the kid.
There you go. Cool, man.
But heck yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All that stuff. All that stuff we hate saying.
Yeah.
But
it's weird. Yeah. Or don't. Or just if you like it.
Goodbye.
But a lot of people, that's their story. Good times, Noodle Salad.